There we go. So we're now recording.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you for the introduction. Really appreciate it. And I got to hear John in stereo because he's a couple offices down for me right now. So that was kind of nice. This morning, I'm going to be talking about managing transformation, LA County's Telework app, a data-driven journey. Really cool name. I didn't create it, but I'm going to definitely use it. Thank you. So quick introduction. I'm currently the manager for the Healthcare Solutions Division. I work for ISD, LA County ISD, and I work in their ITS group, and I work for Computer Applications Branch. So CAB is basically probably one of the largest software development groups in the county. We're doing systems from mainframe all the way to cloud. And in fact, in my division, I do have one of the oldest mainframe systems that my team manages. It's the property database for the assessor. And I also have some of the newest, which the new stuff is the cloud. So I like to joke with my team that we manage about 50 years of technology, and which is pretty incredible because what we have with the PDB was actually implemented in the late 60s. So it's pretty amazing that that technology is still around and we still have people working on it. I'm also the team lead for the Cloud Services and Special Projects team. And so I'm really doing two jobs at the moment, trying to lead this cloud initiative, and then at the same time also managing a division of 50 folks. So it's fun, it's challenging at times. I have 20 years of experience building computer systems for LA County. I'm the architect of LA County's document recording system for the Register Recorder County Clerk. So if you buy a house in LA County, I developed that system where your document gets recorded. It's the largest of its kind in the United States. Over 110 million documents, many from anywhere from 2 to 1,000 pages. It's pretty massive system. Also the LA Vital system. So if you were born, you have someone in your family who passed away, or you get married, excuse me, in LA County, goes to the system that I developed and launched in 2007. And then the next three are really what I'm going to focus on today, and those are the the County Homeless Information Portal, CHIP. It's a cloud-based application, really one of the first cloud-based applications developed in CAB, and also Emergency Response Investigation Service, also another cloud-based application that I'm going to just speak kind of briefly on because they're really where the journey began. And then the LA County Telework app, and that's really where the pandemic kind of took that journey and turned it sideways, and that's really what we've been kind of dealing with for the last 9 months. So real quick, I want to just do a quick introduction of my team. We're Team Bespin, Cloud City, for all you Star Wars folks out there. Chris Fuji, he's a lead on my team, awesome guy. Adrian Reyes Zamudio, one of our really brilliant engineers, just super great programmer, great person to work with. I actually worked with him at Register Recorder. Same with Joseph Barbosa, great front end guy, really talented. Brian Group, back end, and Fernando Medina. Fernando's no longer with us. He was a contractor that spent about a year with us, but he was really instrumental in a lot of the good work we did in Telework, and I want to give him some credit. So CHIP, so the County Homeless Information Portal. It's an application that was authorized by California Assembly Bill 210, and it establishes homeless adult and family MDT, multidisciplinary teams. That's a fun word to say. But basically what it allows LA County to do is break down silos between data in multiple systems to be able to help our homeless clients in the county. So we have the LA County, for those of you who know, you work in LA County, we're 37 departments. Everyone has their own IT shop. It's very federated, and there's not a lot of connectivity between those departments. And so a lot of times the data gets siloed. CHIP really was developed, and AB 210 authorized this, the ability to really break down those walls. And it gives us the ability to share, LAHSA data, LAHSA being a co-LA City and LA County venture. So they really have the kind of the client database of homeless individuals. WEDAX, the Workforce Development, Aging, Community Service, public social services, getting any kind of social services in the county. This is where the records would be: DCFS, Children Family Services, mental health, health services, probation, and sheriff. So there's a lot of data here. And so really what we want to do is when someone is helping an individual um, who's finds himself being homeless, is they'd be able to get information about, okay, what services have this has this individual received in the county, and also potentially what are they eligible to get, right? To so you know prior to this system launching, folks would have to get on the phone and make 8 phone calls and try to get information, where now it's at the touch of your fingers. This is a cloud-based application. um, it's mobile responsive, so you can use it on your phone, you can use it on your tablet, you can use it on your PC based browser. And it's really cool. It's kind of a big initiative by the county that we have a database called InfoHub, where a lot of this data gets aggregated. Another team developed that at the CIO's office, and then my team basically put a cloud app in front of it. And I just kind of quick architecture for a chip. It really was such a really where the journey began, because at the time we didn't have any cloud applications. We were growing. We had these massive growing pains because we were trying to build a cloud application with an on-premise mindset, right? We had all our security appliances were installed in our data center. So our security team said, okay, you've got to route all your internet traffic to the cloud through our on-premise data center, right? So that made for some challenges, and obviously kills your scalability and all other kinds of fun things, because now you've got the cloud and the power of the cloud, but then you put it behind some appliance that's installed physically in a server room. So that was interesting. I mean, this was about 2 years ago, so lots has changed since then. But really, it really, because it was a disruptor of an application. We also really wanted to focus on building best practices, CI/CD, using repositories in the cloud, and really try to kind of push the envelope there. Obviously, I know in in private sector, this is stuff that's all just been done, and it's not leading edge or cutting edge by any means. But in the county, we tend to run a little bit behind. It's and so for us, it kind of was right. So we were trying to figure that out. So once we launched Chip, we actually took some of the similar data and created another application called the Emergency Response Investigation Service, or ERIS. And ERIS is used by DCFS, Emergency Response Child Social Workers, and it provides critical real time data, also near time data for these investigators. They're able to look someone up and be able to get a mugshot of a person, be able to to see who the person is when they're going into a situation. There's been a referral, potentially child abuse. They go into a situation where a house where they may not have information. They don't know who all is living in this house. And it's a dangerous time. And so this application allows them to look up that referral, see all the associated folks that DCF thinks they know who live in that home, and be able to look at their history in DCFS. Also, to be able to potentially look up a rap sheet, be able to look at a mugshot. Are there any temporary restraining orders on anyone in the house? And then also be able to pull war information, probation information, anything that really would be able to give them the ability to just kind of get a sense for the home, and if it's safe, and if they have to pull a child from the home, they basically can then maybe they're going to the grandmother's home, and there's somebody else living there, they can look that person up. So that gives them the ability to do ad hoc lookups through the same systems, and be able to get a sense for how safe is that environment. Once again, prior to this system launching, these were phone calls that had to be made. And so it was a really difficult job. So this is really trying to get that information to them as fast as possible. Also a cloud-based application. We're using technologies like countywide master data management. So that's a big system that actually my division manages, our countywide MDM. So that that's where we're taking records from multiple source systems, creating an enterprise ID to identify folks across the county. a really big issue, something really difficult to do in the county when you have so many different source systems all with their own IDs and trying to merge and consolidate those records. We're using the Consolidated Criminal History Report System. It's called Cheers. Once I already mentioned the rap sheets, the DCFS, they have a data mart which contains all the eSCAR referrals and so on. So I'm going to give you a quick view. This is a mock-up. Well, it's actually taken from ERIS. I replaced the mugshot and the data, but basically a quick view of this information. There's so much information now at this investigator's fingertips. Once again, cloud-based. Part of the journey. We built CHIP, then we took what we learned with CHIP and we started building ERIS. Same data sets. We're using data sets that are in the cloud. We're using data sets that are on premise. So we're really trying to you know, try to kind of bridge that world, build a hybrid between the cloud and on premise. And I think in the county, we're probably going to be seeing these kinds of solutions for quite some time. It's going to take years and to move resources to the cloud, and then there will just be some systems that we never do. But ERIS, being kind of an aggregator of data, a pane of glass into into each person, and to be able to help these investigators. So this is, as John mentioned, this is kind of where we were. These were the things I was going to talk about when I originally was going to do this presentation back in March. But then another view of the data. But then on March 16th in LA County, we had obviously the COVID crisis started, and a large number of the county workforce started working remotely, and this really pushed the county into kind of an unknown world, which is teleworking. We didn't really have many. There were many hurdles. Not many departments really had a teleworking plan. We needed to know when staff were starting their day. We needed to know what they were doing, right? In the county, obviously, management at the time was really about walking the hall and seeing that John's in his office, that Chris is in his office and they're doing work. But when we started working remotely, we didn't have that, and so there was definitely a cultural divide with work, at the county that this pandemic has really pushed us over that into teleworking. So we started using what on the left here, you're looking at a form. This is an actual human resources form. The first one I filled out when I started, doing this remote working. And after our first pay cycle of creating these telework forms, it quickly became apparent that managing and organizing one of these forms per staff per workday was going to be really challenging. And in addition, we were doing COVID-19 related work. There was a lot of it going on early on. And so trying to identify those COVID-19 related tasks so we could get reimbursed by FEMA was even going to be harder. Because we have 140 people in CAB, 1,000 people in ISD, 109,000 people in the county. So these numbers start getting pretty staggering pretty quickly. So we had activated our COOP. We had these communications hurdles that we were working through. We started using. We have a tool that we actually had that we developed for COOP called ISD Check-in. It's basically an application that we just check in every morning just to say, hey, we're working, and if we're remote or on premise. And then we started using that form, and it basically it basically became pretty clear that we needed to do something. So at the time, my boss came to me and said, okay, we need to build something fast. So obviously we're working in the cloud, spinning up resources or something we can do pretty quickly, and building an app. So we really wanted to build this thing really, really fast. So our first release we actually got out. We started really towards the end of April. In 2 weeks, we had the first release. There really weren't a lot of features. I mean, you really couldn't edit. You'd have to delete and then add a new task. I mean, it was pretty raw, and which is pretty rare for the county. Like we like to, a lot of times we still are very influenced by waterfall, and sometimes we're like, we want to spend years talking about something before we do it. It's rare to actually build and really build first. And really here we were building an airplane as we were flying it, which was good. I mean, this was the perfect application to do that. So we chose, like I said, cloud-based. We minimized our upfront costs. Even right now, with thousands of people using this system, our costs are about $250 in cloud spend a month, which is really negligible when you think about it, because we were able to right size it. And we worked fast, and we would try to use, and we were working fast, but we also, I made it an effort to tell the team, let's use modern tools. Even though we're we could, go back to things we're comfortable with. Let's push ourselves a little bit here. And the team I mentioned before, they're really stellar. And they did. We started using this is actually our first cloud-based application where we're using containers. In the previous systems, we were using in Azure what was called an app service environment. So we started using containers. We built it with CI/CD from the get-go, and our continuous deployment we're using. At this point now, I mean, obviously we've had a lot of iterations. We're using blue-green deployment. So we can stage and then push from staging when we need to do a new release. We started using GitHub Enterprise. We were using Azure DevOps early on in the repos, but then we moved to GitHub Enterprise. We still use Azure DevOps for our Kanban boards. We have 2-week sprints. And then also we're collecting all this data. So we thought, hey, let's also bring in, Power BI, let's bring some dashboards. And so we started working with dashboards, and then that really morphed in, and I started working with John and his team on some analytics. Let's actually build this out. John and I had many conversations about, well, what does the future application look like in LA County, and maybe this is a good opportunity to just kind of build out that framework and build, this is how a modern application should look like. We're using Azure AD, modern identity, something that's new and emerging in the county. And then also something kind of cool that Adrian added just recently is we're using Terraform. And now when we do feature releases, we get a feature release branch, so we can test that. So, just trying to kind of push the envelope a little bit. So now I'm going to do just a quick demo and switch over. So bear with me. So this is the Telework application. Really, really, really simple to use. Basically, every single day, instead of filling out that Word or PDF form, we are coming in and we're creating basically a form that shows what we've done for the day. So we have tasks, we have task details, we have hours, the hours we worked regular and COVID-19 related. So we come in, we add some a task, COVID-19 related work, working at Project Roomkey, worked 3 hours, and I flag it as COVID-19 related. So part of our reimbursement, we need to know the location. So we've added we've tied into our GIS, our LA County GIS system with Esri. So if I'm on my phone, I could use my current location. We get longitude, latitude. We convert it into an address or across streets, or we can search by an address. Looks it up, able to save that. We do have some requirements on adding enough data here. So add my COVID related task. So I hit submit. This saves my form, and I'm done. Really simple to do. It really made it easy instead of having to deal with those Word documents. We've added features over the months. We can copy. So a lot of folks copy your previous workday if you do the same thing kind of routinely, or like me, most of my Mondays are the same, Tuesdays, whatnot. And then we also started adding in features for the managers. So then we have a supervisor view where we can go in and I can look at my staff for what they submitted over a course of a day, which is great. This is nice for being able to get a kind of a quick glimpse at what Brian might have done yesterday, and I can drill in and take a look at that. But it also it's really hard, right? Once you start getting a lot of data, we started to think about, okay, how do you search through, now, 9 months in, how do you search through 1 million hours of daily tasks? And that's what we have. I ran the numbers last night, and we've actually started hitting some pretty staggering numbers. We've got 132,000 individual forms now. I mean, could you imagine that, trying to sort through a Word document, a PDF document, to try to get any kind of information out of that, to gain any kind of insight into your data? I mean, how could you access a snapshot of all the work done by a staff for a single day or even a week? I mean, right at this point, we have 487,000 individual tasks. And then how would you even know at this point that you had 56 out of your your million hours of work, that 56,000 of them were COVID-19 related. So it gets really, really difficult to do. Um, so what we ended up doing is, okay, the first step, we built a dashboard. Once again, we have a Power BI team here in a cab, also, that was working with John at the time, and we went to say, let's build out a Telework dashboard, and let's quickly take a look at your data, and be able to kind of slice and dice this a little bit easier. So we built the first dashboard, and then we also added in a COVID-19 related dashboard. So let's just filter those out. You know, back in 2018, when there was the Woolsey fire, we activated, LA County activated. It was a 2 to 3 week event, and when we tried to go back and get that information to bill for FEMA to be able to get reimbursed for that work, it took months because they had to go through individual Word documents and slice that data and match them with time card data. Well, this allows you to do it instantaneously. So kind of a big benefit of building out this system. So I'm going to just quickly show the dashboards in action. So switch over again. So here's our Telework dashboard. Obviously, we've got our time slicer. We can drill in by supervisors and take a look at each individual supervisor. Departments. So actually, we have multiple departments now using this. We built it originally internally, but we've given this to multiple departments. We've got over 20 that have done some sort of POC or submitted forms, but we've got about 7 or 8 that use it. They use it consistently. Actually, it's 7 that use it consistently. We have their 8th is going to be Military Veterans Affairs. I've just met with them, and they're going to start using this as well. But we can also drill in. I can do an employee search. So now maybe if I wanted to just see one of my employees, I can search on him and take a look at that. This coupled with the time slice, it really allows you to kind of take a look at, okay, does the data that they're showing on their time card, as I'm approving time cards, does it actually match what they're putting into the Telework system? And it gives you some great way to just quickly jump in and look at look at that data. And then we also, like I mentioned, have the COVID-19 related dashboard here. And at this point, I refreshed this a little while ago, but you can see what we've been doing. So just quick dashboards, basically just taking that next step with our data and trying to kind of make some sense of it. So then now we wanted to really kind of start digging a little bit deeper into our data and start to organize these tasks. Because if you notice, when I entered the task, I know it went quick, it's free form, right? So we have all these free form tasks. As I mentioned before, we built it fast. And but having drop downs and having people have to configure what are you going to drop down for your task categories for your team would have just taken too long. So what we wanted to do is organize the task into like categories with the goal of laying the foundation for kind of gleaning some kind of insight out of the data. This is hard. This is work that really is something that I don't, my team and myself don't have a lot of expertise in, but that's where where John had a data scientist working with us in CAB, and we went to him with this. And this is hard because this is where the business and technology teams really need to come together to make sense of the data and to find meaningful patterns in this. So when we met with the data scientist, he would ask us questions, and we could answer some of it because we knew what our staff were doing. But then we had data from multiple departments, multiple staff. So we couldn't answer everything. So we really just wanted to start building this foundation out. So as most of you probably know, this is a cluster diagram that was created. We created it using natural language processing and semantic analysis. We regrouped these into clusters that are more similar looking, just for the beginning of finding these patterns. Obviously, this isn't magic, and I think that's the problem sometimes with data analysis. Is I think people expect it to be magic, and it'll just automatically tell you what you want to know, but it's not. And it requires a data scientist or analyst to work with the business, identify those patterns, iterate, and then make changes to clean up your data, get more data sources, but also make changes to your data science, right? What you're looking at here, your groupings and things like that. So we actually took this early on, that some of these early groupings, and we actually started working on new features for the Telework form. And so when I mentioned, that drop down of different tasks, we actually started building that feature, and it's actually in beta now. It's taken us a long time to get there, 9 months, um, but we are starting to add that, and we should probably have that in the early 2021. And we're going to give the ability of managers to be able to continue to use freeform, force their staff to use something that's pre-populated as with a drop down, or a hybrid where they can do both. So it's a nice feature. So we're looking to add that. Really, the next step we took is we took these categories, and this is one I like because it's simple to understand, is where we populated a word cloud to help us visualize the results of those cluster diagrams. It really provides us a convenient way to visualize their data, just kind of see what folks are working on. And it's kind of cool too, because it's quick and easy to take a look at and know that these things change over time. So this word cloud we're looking at here, it's from data that we collected from March through July. And you can see that COVID is prominent on here, right? So we had telework, we had COVID, that's early on, that's what we were focused on, right? We were all trying to, everything was COVID based. We're trying to, spin up Project Room Key. We were trying to, we had our staff that had gone and worked for public health. In fact, we still have staff that have been working for 9 months answering phone calls for Department of Public Health. And so we were very focused, on that initial response in the county for COVID. But then what you can see now, as this is data from August through December, is that COVID isn't as big. We've tackled that, we've kind of stabilized. You can see COVID is over here. If you can see that, it's kind of an outlier, kind of small, and really not as big. Now it's mostly, obviously, we're in a bureaucracy. We have lots of meetings, lots of administrative tasks, but this is how things have kind of shifted for us over time. And it's just kind of a nice way to kind of get a glimpse of that. Also, we did is we've also now gone and expanded to do this per individual. I really like this. It's a quick way to get just a quick view of what staff's working on. I mean, we're talking about a lot of data. I mean, it's not the biggest data set in the county by any means, but it's enough that it would take some time to really go through it and glean information without having something grouping this for us. So I can look at what one of my team, Chris, was working on, and and when I see just kind of at a glance, I know, okay, he's been he's working on Git. He's leading a project right now to develop a GitHub enterprise offering for the entire county. We have some departments that are joining us, and we're talking about trying to do inner source, right? Sharing code between the different departments. We have multiple IT shops in the county, multiple IT shops doing similar things. As we move to the cloud, hey, do you need to use the county's modern identity platform? Well, we've already written the code for that. So why do we need somebody else to do that? Come to our GitHub and take that code. And if you've got a new feature to add, please, do a PR, put it back into our main branch, and let's all contribute and work together. I think that's where we're trying to steer the county, right? And be able to kind of push us outside of our county silos and be able to share data, share information, share code, and work together. So that's, we've got a few early adopters with us, like Public Works. DPSS has a team that works with us, but we've had a lot of conversations with other departments as well. And it's something that I think, we started this before COVID. COVID's definitely thrown us a curveball on this initiative, but this one that we're definitely think is worthwhile and continue to put time and effort into. And also getting just even in CAB with 140 developers across 5 different divisions and multiple sections, just being able to share code in between our teams is a big boon for us. So, the system's only been alive for 9 months. This is a much shorter time than most systems are, that we do in the county that we spend to analyze and plan for an enterprise computing system. Like I mentioned, we built this pretty quick. We built this pretty lean, but we've also built it in a way that now we have multiple departments using it. We have thousands of people that use this every day to run their job, and our focus from the beginning was to get features and data to our customers as fast as possible and to iterate. we wanted to we figured we wouldn't get it right first. That's okay. If we missed the mark, we made changes until we got it right. Um, we've gone through enough. I think we've stabilized this platform. It's been stable for a while. We've added features. We're adding in a check-in feature that we talked in. We're actually porting that over into this platform. We've also added a feature to allow you to do hoteling for cubicles. So to reserve a spot, something that we thought about doing early on in August. But as COVID kind of spiked, the idea of people sharing spaces, it's definitely something we put on hold. But this platform can really turn into the kind of the bookends of your day, where I reserve a place that I'm going to work, because I think teleworking is going to stay in the county. I think we're going to be teleworking. I think the days of everybody coming into the office every single day of the week, I think those days are probably gone. So we might be able to save, the county might be able to save some money by looking at, okay, let's use hoteling to save on. We don't need another lease of building. We can share spaces, so we can reserve a space to work. I get into my cube, I get into that space where I'm working. I can check in that I'm there. At the end of my day, I do my telework form, and now I've closed that bookend on my day. So that's really kind of where we're going with the platform. And then also, now that we have all this data, we want to start gaining intelligence from the data. It's kind of a buzzword kind of thing to say. But the reality is we do, but we have to do it incrementally. We have to do it slow. We have to do it using continual improvements, and now engaging our other businesses. You know, John and I have built out that platform for this, that first round of that analysis. But really, the next steps here are how do we leverage that to be able to answer questions like, what are the, go back to the business, what are the questions that you have, what are the things you want to answer with this data. We'll try to answer it with what we have, but it's probably going to require the county. A lot of our teams have disparate systems. Some people are using Sharewell, some people are using Jira, some people are using Azure DevOps. We also have some homegrown systems. So how do we get all this data into a place that we can really grow that and gain insight. So kind of that's where we are at this point. I'm going to open it up for any questions, and then just thank you for listening to me talk this morning. And please be safe, and thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Chris. That is, it's the first time I've seen this kind of the end-to-end component of it, honestly. And it is pretty amazing. And the one other thing I'll add to this is there's a lot of fear in the county about mobility and telework, because managers, they're so used to doing that, managing by walking around and being able to see their people. And the one of the biggest values that this adds and brings is it brings visibility for managers to their employees. So that way it starts to break down that fear, so that they feel like, hey, yes, they may be at home, they may be on the road, they may be someplace, but I can see by looking at this data and looking at the information about them that they're being productive, that they're doing things, right? And so that to me that's the other really important